Hello everyone, my name is Michael and this is Brilliant Blunders, a channel that's all about me playing chess. In this video I'm going to cover round 6 of Pakleza Cup, where I play with the white pieces. So let's take a look at the game. I start with e4 as I always do, and my opponent plays the Scandinavian with d5. And we play the main line for a number of moves, like this. This is all normal Scandinavian theory. Here there is this important move c6. And I can show you that, for example, if black does not place the pawn on c6 by the knight instead, then after something like this, white has a very nice move. This, attacking the queen moves back, and now c4, attacking the knight, and if the knight moves back, attacking the queen. If the queen takes, I give check and I win a rook. So that's why playing knight to c6 is not a good idea, and pawn to c6 is the correct move. I played bishop to d2, bishop to f5, and here I played bishop to e2, which is not the correct theoretical move. The correct move is bishop to c4, because it kind of forces black to eventually give up this knight on f6. For example, if e6, this is the main theoretical line. It was played by some high-level players. I think I saw the game between Nepomniachtchi and Nakamura in this exact line in the database. And yeah, this is the point, right? Black takes here with the knight, and yeah, black can recapture with either the pawn or the queen, and the game continues. But the main point is that black gets rid of this knight on f6, and this is supposedly to be the way to play this for an advantage. The way I played it, black has no problems, has an equal position, and his opening can be considered a success. Alright, but of course this is by no means like a big mistake, right? This is just letting black have an equal position, which is, at my level, that's usually what happens, right? Players usually get more or less equal positions, and then the one who blunders last loses. Okay, e6 played. I played a3. My intention was to stop the bishop from coming to b4. He develops his knight. I castle. He moves the queen back to c7. The queen is no longer doing anything in here, so he brings it back and potentially lines it up for an attack on my king. Knight h4, so I'm attacking the bishop. If I can exchange my knight for the bishop, then it would be great for me. He moves to g6, and here I don't really want to capture, because he would recapture with his h-pawn and have a very strong attack against my king side. So, for example, if I took on g6, he takes, I can play h3, and seemingly that solves my issues, but I still wouldn't feel comfortable playing the game where I constantly have to be on the lookout for any even potential sacrifices, or like knight jumps to g5, pushing the g-pawn. Right now, none of these are possible, because my bishops here do a good job of defending against all of that ideas, but this makes my position so that I always have to be on the lookout for that, right? Because if I give up my control of any of these, then I can lose very fast. So I did not want to do that. That's why instead I played rook to e1, just calmly developing my rook to an open file. He goes d6, bishop d6, increasing the pressure on my pawn. I play pawn to g3, just stopping that altogether. He castles long. Bishop to f3, just moving to this diagonal, and potentially I can tuck the bishop away on g2, and also I'm opening my rook. So that was the main idea as well, to have the rook stare at the open file, not being blocked by the bishop. He plays knight to b6, so now he's has the options to jump the knight in, probably to c4, where he attacks my bishop. So I play b3, stopping all of that. So now knight cannot go to this square or this square. It can go to this square, but I would probably take. Right. He plays knight to bishop to e7 then. So he does a similar thing like I did, just opening his rook against my pawn. I play knight to e2. So with that move, I am defending my pawn, which was undefended before. And I also prepare to push c4 or reinforce my pawn with c3. So I'm making room for the c-pawn. So all very natural. And here comes the moment where the position kind of explodes, because my opponent decided this is the time to play h6. And when I spoke to him after the game, he said that absolutely he was aware that I can take here, which I did, but he thought this was kind of like a bait, and he would have this open f-file for his rooks to attack my king, and that this was good for him. But let's see what actually happened. So I take, he takes. Now his pawns are very weak. So this is an isolated pawn. This pawn is also weak. It's not protected by anything. So yeah, and I can immediately attack all of this, right? So I play knight to f4. I'm attacking this pawn, which is undefended, and I'm attacking this pawn, which also is a threat of a fork against the queen and the rook. So he should do something about it, and I was expecting him to step away with the rook or the queen, and I would take the g6 pawn then. So for example, if he plays like this, then I can go here, and he can actually take this pawn. So the material is, no, he cannot, sorry, because I take the bishop. Yeah, so that's the point. He cannot take this pawn, but he can move with the bishop. Let's say here I can exchange, and maybe like put my bishop over here on this very nice diagonal, staring at the queen and the king. And if he takes now, I can take here, and yeah, his king is kind of stuck here. Then I can do this. King moves further away, and you know, the game can continue, but I think white is slightly better here. I have an extra pawn. I have these two amazing bishops against his knights, and yeah, this would have been a playable position anyway. But he plays e5, so he's going for counterplay against my pawn. So obviously I take the occasion and go knight e6, right? Go for the fork. I'm winning an exchange, and he goes queen d7. Of course, he doesn't give up his queen. I take the rook. He recaptures with the other rook, and now you can see that my pawn is hanging here, and if I move it, my bishop is hanging, right? Because he has this battery lined up along the d-file. But I can actually take, because that way I'm also attacking his knight, so I'm not really losing my bishop. It's an exchange. I'm winning a pawn here. And that's what he did. He took the bishop and I took the knight. And for example, if he instead tried to save the knight, just going here, I'm just, winning the queen. Because this is the other threat in the position, right? So he has to do something, or my bishop uses this pin. And this was not possible here, obviously, because knight covers. So this move, d takes e5, attacks the knight, and the knight cannot move. So his best bet is to take the bishop, because he's losing the knight anyway. I'm taking the knight. And now, now he goes like completely crazy, because because he thought this would be a queen exchange, right? So he takes the pawn, I take this, he takes this, and he probably thought I would recapture, he would recapture here, and we have a position where I have an extra rook and an exchange. So completely lost position for him. And what I did was even better. I did not recapture the rook, I just took on f7. And just going back, so here it does not make any sense to go for this queen f2 business. What he should have done is just take the queen, I recapture with the rook, and now he recaptures the pawn. That way he's still an exchange down, but an exchange down is not completely lost yet. Although my rooks are very strongly positioned, and he's definitely worse, but he can still try. After what he did with this is completely lost, right? So I'm not even recapturing the rook, because instead I take the bishop and I will queen in the next move. He takes, I recapture, he moves the king, I queen, and at this position my opponent resigned. So a very short game, only 25 moves, and it was a very equal game right until he played this move a6, which allowed for all of these exchanges and complications. So really an exercise in calculation. So he clearly did not calculate correctly all of the complications that arise after this, and the moves were all pretty forcing, I would say, so it wouldn't be that hard to calculate, and I actually did calculate most of it. At least I saw that this idea with taking, or actually after he played e5, then obviously I calculated all of that, and I knew that that I was better. I can safely take here. That was the game. So a pretty clean win for me. So after 6 rounds, I had 3 wins, 2 draws, and 1 loss. So a very good result, I would say. And 2 rounds to go. So if you like this video, give this a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. And for the last 2 rounds, stay on the channel. The videos will come shortly, and I'll see you then. Bye.